welcome into Titans Today. I am your host, Brett Alper. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about some of the winners and the losers of the Titans roster after the NFL draft. Many additions were made, so who does that benefit? Or who could be worrying about their roster spot come training camp, come preseason, and later to the regular season? I really loved the Titans draft. And I know you guys did. I saw it all in the comments. I think it's a possibility. So if you want the Titans back in the playoffs, if you want Cam Ward to lead the Titans to the 2025 NFL playoffs, spam it down in the comments section below. Spam your teas. Spam your teas. Now we're going to start off with the 2025 winners. Post-draft winners of the NFL draft. And the first one, I think, has got to be the offensive line. J.C. Latham. He was playing left tackle during the 2024 season, and he kind of struggled. I know it's a very young player, needs more experience, but, I mean, you could see it right there. 7 sacks allowed. He played all 17 games, but for 2025, you signed Dan Moore Jr. You get to go back to your original spot where you played at Alabama at right tackle, and just you get more comfortable. And not only that, if you look at their draft, I don't see any new players that could possibly be starting. I mean, you signed Jackson Slater, who Lloyd Cushenberry, I know you had an injury. He could play center. I still think Slater is going to be playing left guard, but there's a possibility of him always moving to center if need be, if he struggles at left guard. But you have Peter Skoronsky, you have Kevin Zeitler, who is also a great right guard. He played great for the Lions last season. And this offensive line has just improved. So J.C. Latham, the pressure has been taken off of him. He gets to relax. He gets to play his original position that he knows the most. I'm giving him a winner. The second one, it's got to be Calvin Ridley, right? Has to be. You go into this draft and you're like, oh man, it's just me out there, brother. It's just me. Post-draft, you got a bunch of pass catchers. You got a absolute... You sign Tyler Lockett like days before the NFL draft. Then you sign Elike Manor, who I'm putting at wide receiver for. You sign Chimere DK as your draft pick. And then free agency, undrafted free agent, Xavier Restrepo. Calvin Ridley has to be thinking, oh my God, I am no longer going to be double teamed. I have a complimentary slot receiver. I got some rookies behind my back that I can teach and learn. I'm going to be the number one guy. And I have a new quarterback throwing me the ball, the number one pick in the NFL draft. I absolutely love it. He is post-draft winner, 1A, 1B with J.C. Latham. My second one is Sebastian Joseph Day. The Titans were third to last in sack totals last season. They didn't have any edge rushers besides him and Harold Landry. I know Harold Landry has later gone, but you could see only 2.5 sacks, 44 tackles. Double teams after double teams after double teams. With the new additions to the roster with Draymond Jones, you draft Femi Oladipo. Sebastian Joseph Day is a winner. He doesn't have to worry about his roster spot. He can relax. And there's not going to be that many double teams this year. I can promise you guys that. Another one, Tony Pollard. You improve that offensive line. You get a quarterback that can pass you the ball. We saw what Tony Pollard could do. I know he had a great running game this last season, rushing over 1,000 yards, but we saw what he can do in Dallas with a good quarterback, because I think Dak Prescott is a solid quarterback. If you're able to establish the passing game, they go back into pass coverage, that's going to give Tony Pollard a lot of holes to find the run spot and then play action, dink and dunk over the middle. Tony Pollard, great pass catcher. I think this is he's going to be happy post-draft with a better offensive line, better pass catchers, and not only a better quarterback. But Cam Ward was asked this question on his Fortnite stream. He said, who are your top 5 running backs? And he said, Tony Pollard, Spears. So I'm asking you guys the same exact question as Cam Ward was asked. Tony Pollard is a blank running back in the NFL. Let me know down in the comments section below. And the last post-draft winner I got is your head coach, Brian Callahan. He came into this franchise and it was down. It was absolutely down. You didn't have a great quarterback. You didn't have a great offensive line. You didn't have many pass catchers except for Calvin Ridley. And now I feel like this roster is stacked. This is the first time since probably 2021 where you can probably say, yeah, I actually have optimism going into 2025. And I'm sure if the fans feel that, Brian Callahan feels that same way. You feel confident that you could actually compete in the NFL. You're not going to be one of the worst teams in the league. You have everything that you needed. You got through the NFL draft. And I think Brian Callahan is very satisfied with the roster moves that Mike Borgonzi and himself and Chad Brinker have made. Now, before we get into the losers, and they're big losers, let's talk about the biggest winner of them all, the number one pick in the NFL draft. And if you want your Cam Ward jersey, he's going to be wearing that number one. Warren Moon gave him the approval to wear that. So if you want your Cam Ward jersey, go down and type in chatsports.com/Ward. Supports the show. Supports Cam Ward. You can get your jersey today. We'll put that in the comments section and description of today's video. All right, so the number one, I mean, is it without a doubt? The number one loser? Yeah, it's Will Levis, buddy. Get ready to learn trade season. You had a terrible 2024. You lost your starting job. Cam Ward is in. And, I mean, this is the most obvious one out of all of them. You signed Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle as your backup quarterbacks. And you got to think, like, Will Levis still wants to compete. He was a second-round pick, for crying out loud. He still wants to compete in this league. So he's probably thinking, all right, I lost my starting job. Well, I got to go somewhere else. So he's a definite loser. I see him being a very big positive trade candidate going into 2025. And the second one, the other guy, Treylon Burks. These are the top two that were on Adam Schefter's big board of potential players that could have been traded during the NFL draft. I thought Treylon Burks was going to get traded so the Titans could get back in, or Will Levis was going to get traded to get back into the third round. They did it without having to get rid of any players. And we don't know how Treylon Burks is going to be. I mean, he hasn't been productive whatsoever. 4 receptions, 34 yards, coming off a season-ending injury. Like, to be honest, this is the number one player. I think Will Levis might be on this roster. I don't think Treylon Burks will be on this roster in September. I don't think so. I think he could easily be a cut candidate or a trade candidate. They're going to see if anybody wants to trade him, but to put the icing on the cake, just to say, hey, Treylon, you probably aren't going to be on this roster, they signed Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent, Cam Ward's favorite target in college. Like, you have 4 wide receivers as a starting depth chart, then you have Chimere DK as your draft pick, and Xavier Restrepo, who I think is going to make the roster because of Cam Ward. So Treylon Burks, sorry. Lorenzo Carter. He hasn't played a snap for the Tennessee Titans, but he is one of my biggest losers. 2024 with the Falcons, 32 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. This one is just how the Titans draft went apart. You signed him to be an edge rusher, but then you draft Femi Oladejo, and this could easily be a cut candidate before the season starts. He'll play in the preseason, but once you get down to those roster cuts to get to that 53-man roster, he is an absolute expendable player. 1 year, $1.4 million deal. If you don't perform in the preseason, you're gone. You're absolutely gone. And with the depth chart, as I'm looking right now, I mean, I put Lorenzo Carter pretty much as your backup to the backup. You have Sebastian Joseph-Day as your starter on one side. You have Draymond Jones on the other side. Femi Oladejo on that. Like, I see Lorenzo Carter just being, there's not enough players on this there's not enough spots on this roster for you to survive. If he doesn't perform, I could see him just, hey, you get your signing bonus, and we got more potential than you here, brother. One of the big loser. Then we have the other running back. Not Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. Yes, I know Cam Ward called him a top 5 running back. But, Tyjae Spears, I liked you as a late round pick. You had a solid 2024 season, 84 carries, 312 yards. You're just a backup. And for what we've been seeing in the later years of the NFL, we saw the Patriots do it with their draft. They drafted Travion Henderson, and you have a speed guy, and you have Ramondre. Most teams are going with that speed duo and that power duo. You get your speedy guy. That's Tony Pollard. He can catch passes out the backfield. And then you have that downhill runner that can absolutely bulldoze the way through. Well, in the NFL draft, the Titans selected Khalil Mullings, who was an absolute tank. 200 and almost 230 pounds. Tyjae Spears is 195 pounds. So you have that little bulldozing running back, and you can see his stats right there, 948 yards. He's going to compete for some backup reps. And with how the NFL is going with these running back duos, Tyjae Spears just might be the odd man out. You have your speed back, you have your pass catching back in Tony Pollard. There's no need for two guys on the roster. Tyjae Spears, I like you, but it just might not work out for the Titans' favor. And the last loser of the draft, the AFC South. The AFC South is, I'm going to tell you guys right now, absolutely terrible. Like, I would probably say if the worst division in football, if not the worst. I mean, you had the Texans, which were 10-7, and they didn't even compete in the wild card. You have the Colts, which are a joke, 8-9 last year. Jaguars are 4-13, and then the Titans are 3-13, which the Titans improved. With how bad that division is, with all the additions to the roster, with a brand new quarterback, I feel like the Titans could easily be competitive and jump up. It is not that outlandish to think. Like now, if they were in the AFC North, where you have the Bengals, the Steelers, the Ravens, all great teams, or in the NFC with all stacked teams, this AFC South team is terrible. So they could easily, with the division, you played the division twice. That could easily be 5 wins right off the bat. I think they could compete in 2025, even though they were the worst team in the league last year. So I'm asking you guys, predict the Titans win total in 2025. You don't got to be outlandish and say like 10. For me, I would probably predict that it's going to be around 7-8 wins. I think with the roster that they've built, 7 to 8 wins in 2025, especially. I think a solid Cam Ward's over-under is 3,200 yards. Take that over, man. Take that over. Take it. Caleb Williams with no offensive line did that. I think Cam Ward's going to do it too. That does it for today's episode of Titans Today. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that big red sub button. I'm your host, Brett Alper, and as always, tighten up.